Today's breaking news covers one of the most dramatic and alarming escalations in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. In this update, we will break down the key points you need to know. First, Russia has launched the single largest aerial assault since the war began, a devastating wave of more than 800 drones and multiple missiles targeting Ukrainian cities overnight. Second, for the first time in this conflict, the Cabinet of Ministers building in Kyiv, the very heart of the Ukrainian government, was hit, igniting a massive fire and sending shockwaves across the nation. Third, we will examine the casualties, with civilians, including a mother and her infant child, killed and dozens more wounded. Fourth, we will look at how Ukraine responded, including a retaliatory strike on a Russian oil pipeline and renewed calls for international support. And finally, we will explore the global reactions, from the United States and Europe considering tougher sanctions, to NATO and world leaders responding with alarm. Before we dive deeper, I want to hear from you. Do you believe this unprecedented assault marks a turning point in the war? Could it push Ukraine's allies to act faster, or will it embolden Russia to escalate even further? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to stay updated with the latest live developments, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Now, let's begin with the breaking details. In the early hours of the morning, as most of Ukraine slept, the skies above Kyiv and other major cities came alive with the sound of air raid sirens, explosions, and the whir of drones. Russia launched a record-breaking assault, deploying over 800 Iranian-made Shahid drones and at least 13 long-range missiles in a coordinated attack designed to overwhelm Ukraine's air defenses. The scale was unlike anything seen since the beginning of the war in February 2022. Ukrainian officials described it as a night of fire and steel, where the sheer volume of incoming threats made it impossible to intercept them all. The Cabinet of Ministers building, a tall, imposing structure in Kyiv's historic Pechersky district, became one of the most symbolic targets hit. This is no ordinary government office, it is the center of executive power in Ukraine, where ministers gather to shape policy and run the country. The strike caused part of the building to erupt in flames, shattering windows and sending debris cascading onto the streets below. Videos shared online showed smoke billowing high into the night sky as firefighters battled to contain the inferno. Prime Minister Yulia Sviridenko later appeared in a video message filmed inside the damaged building. With her voice firm despite the chaos around her, she called on Ukraine's allies to provide more advanced air defense systems immediately, warning that without stronger protection, attacks like this could happen again and again. The human toll was devastating. At least 4 civilians were confirmed dead, including a mother and her infant child, caught in the blast while sheltering in a residential building nearby. Over 40 others were injured across Kyiv, Odessa, Zaporizhia, and Sumy. Hospitals were flooded with casualties suffering from burns, shrapnel wounds, and trauma. Emergency crews worked tirelessly through the night, rescuing people trapped under rubble and extinguishing fires in residential districts. In some neighborhoods, entire apartment blocks were left without power and water. The images from Kyiv the morning after told a heartbreaking story: twisted metal, shattered glass, cars reduced to smoldering wrecks, and families sifting through the debris of their destroyed homes. President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned the attack as an assault not only on Ukraine's infrastructure but on its democracy itself. He accused Russia of deliberately targeting symbols of Ukrainian statehood in a bid to break the nation's spirit. "They can destroy buildings, but they will never destroy our determination," he said in a televised address. Kyiv's mayor, Vitaly Klitschko, was even more blunt, declaring that Putin had crossed a red line by targeting the cabinet building, an act he described as state terrorism at the highest level. Despite the destruction, Ukraine did not remain passive. Within hours, Ukrainian forces launched a retaliatory strike on the Druzhba oil pipeline in Russia's Bryansk region, one of the main arteries transporting crude oil to Europe. The strike disrupted supplies and sent a clear message: Ukraine will hit back. Military analysts believe this retaliation is part of a broader strategy to target Russia's energy infrastructure, striking at the heart of Moscow's ability to fund its war machine. Meanwhile, heavy fighting continues on the front lines. In Donetsk Oblast, the Dobropilya offensive rages on, with Russian forces attempting to push deeper into Ukrainian territory. Ukrainian troops have been mounting counteroffensives, reclaiming villages and inflicting heavy losses on enemy units. In Sumy Oblast, Russian incursions remain a threat, but Ukrainian forces are holding their ground, refusing to allow Moscow's troops an easy victory. Internationally, the attack has triggered a wave of reactions. In Washington, President Donald Trump described the assault as outrageous and said he is preparing what he called a second phase of sanctions against Russia. These measures, still being drafted, are expected to target Russia's remaining energy exports, technology imports, and financial systems. At the same time, he confirmed that several European leaders will travel to the United States this week to coordinate a united response. This comes as European capitals themselves, including Berlin, Warsaw, and Paris, hold emergency meetings to discuss fast-tracking the delivery of Patriot missile systems, advanced drone defenses, and ammunition to Ukraine. NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg condemned the strikes, reiterating that the alliance stands firmly with Kyiv. However, NATO continues to stop short of direct involvement in combat, a line Western leaders remain wary of crossing. The United Nations Security Council has called for an emergency session to discuss the assault. Yet observers expect any resolution condemning Russia will be vetoed by Moscow and possibly China, highlighting once again the paralysis of global institutions in the face of this war. Still, the optics of Russia striking the heart of Ukraine's government could shift the positions of countries that have so far remained neutral. Analysts suggest nations in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, many of which rely on Ukrainian grain and Russian fuel, are watching closely to see how this escalation will impact global stability. For ordinary Ukrainians, the attack was a night of horror. Families spent hours in underground shelters and metro stations, listening to the constant thud of explosions. Children cried as parents tried to reassure them, while volunteers handed out blankets and food to those forced to wait until the skies cleared. When dawn came, the streets of Kyiv revealed the scars of the assault, craters, burning vehicles, and shattered lives. Yet alongside the destruction, there was also resilience. Neighbors helped each other clear rubble. Volunteers distributed hot meals. And in interviews, residents spoke of their determination to keep living, working, and resisting. One elderly woman, standing in front of her destroyed apartment, said simply, "We survived Stalin, we survived Hitler, and we will survive Putin." The scale of the attack raises pressing questions. Why now? Some experts believe the Kremlin wanted to demonstrate its power ahead of upcoming international talks, reminding the world that Russia still holds the ability to escalate at will. Others see it as a tactic to break Ukraine's morale and force Kyiv to the negotiating table. But many argue it may backfire, uniting Ukraine's allies even further and accelerating the delivery of advanced weapons. Already, military analysts are predicting a surge in international aid following this assault, with pressure mounting on Western governments to provide Ukraine with the tools it needs to close its skies once and for all. As winter approaches, the stakes grow even higher. Ukraine fears that continued Russian attacks on its energy grid could leave millions without heat or electricity. Aid organizations are warning of a humanitarian crisis if infrastructure continues to be destroyed at this pace. The psychological toll is also immense, seeing the Cabinet of Ministers building, a symbol of Ukrainian independence, burning in the heart of Kyiv has shaken many, even those who have endured more than 3 years of war. So what comes next? Ukraine's leadership insists it will not bow to intimidation. Zelensky continues to push for faster international support, while his military strategists prepare for both defense and retaliation. Russia, on the other hand, shows no sign of backing down, framing the strikes as legitimate targets in its so-called special military operation. With each passing week, the war grows more destructive, the risks more global, and the prospects for peace more distant. As we close today's update, one truth is clear: this assault marks a turning point in the Russia-Ukraine war. It is a test of Ukraine's resilience, a challenge to Western resolve, and a stark reminder to the world that the conflict is far from over. The biggest aerial attack since the war began has changed the battlefield, reshaped global discussions, and once again brought the reality of war to the doorsteps of ordinary people. And now, I want to know what you think. Was this attack a desperate move by Russia, or a sign of even greater escalations to come? Do you believe Western nations will finally deliver enough air defense to protect Ukraine's skies? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and stay tuned as we continue to bring you the latest updates from Ukraine and beyond. This is not just Ukraine's fight, it is a defining struggle for the future of democracy and sovereignty in the modern world.